There is a second reason why, according to military strategists, Iran has not been just able to cope with how they've prosecuted their war against the superpowers of the world, nuclear superpowers of the world at this time, but has even been able to thrive and actually do substantial and not just military, but also economic damage to their adversaries. And that is what military scholars call A2 slash AD. A2 slash AD, essentially AA slash AD. The AA is called anti-area, sorry, anti-access, AA, anti-access, while the AD is called area denial. Anti-access area denial. What this means is simple. What it means is that, when nations fight, you are not fighting in a vacuum. You are fighting in an ecosystem. And a lot of times, it is that ecosystem that determines the strategic end of your war as against the tactical, in-betweens of the war. Strategic in the sense that the final result, who wins the war in the final analysis, as against the tactical components of the war, which is about who wins battle after battle, micro battle after micro battle. Now, when you want to ensure that you don't just control the facts of the war, but you also want to control the ecosystem in which the war is fought, you do what America always does when it fights. You know what it does? It ensures that well before the fight, it organizes and builds a conglomeration of military bases around the country it wants to fight. In the case of Iran, before America eventually launched the first salvo in cahoots with Israel on February 28th, America had constructed no less than 27 aerial, army, and naval bases around Iran. Have you seen the map? I wish I could show you. Essentially, America and Israel had wedged Iran, in the middle and wrung Iran, constructed a ring around Iran that contained no less than 27 bases. Entrenched within those bases are massive, massive military material. Even before they moved much more from continental America through Europe into the Middle East. All those Gulf countries all host them military bases. Apart from the GCC countries, Jordan, Egypt, Israel itself, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, a lot of those countries contain substantial American military infrastructure in men and material. Essentially, Iran was not supposed to stand a chance at all. In fact, the result of the war was supposed to have been predictable even before the war started. How can you? 27 men are hemming you alone. How do you want to escape? So again, I can't blame the American military planners. By all means, the war was already won. Absolutely. Until Iran deployed a masterstroke. Until Iran taught the world a masterclass in A2 slash AD. Anti-access slash area denial. So what did they do? The first thing Iran did was to focus not on the men of the war, trying to take out the soldiers, trying to take out the military bases. They took out that access, they took out that ecosystem that America and Israel constructed around them. So what did they do? They went for the radars first. So the Americans and the Israelis could not see whatever Iran was doing thereafter anymore. Immediately after that, they went for the anti-aircraft systems, anti-missile systems. They went for the THAAD batteries. They went for the Patriot batteries. In the case of Israel, they went for the Arrow systems. They went for the Davis Link systems. They went for the Iron Dome systems. All the sat-nav infrastructure, all the satellite communications infrastructure that America and Israel used to connect to their satellites in space. All the radars, all the radomes, all the radar protection infrastructure, they took them out. Immediately they are taking those out, they went next for the military and naval bases of this of America and Israel around them. So they went for Al Udeid in Qatar. They went for Al Dafra in UAE. They went for Sultan in Saudi Arabia. They went for the bases in Manama. They went for the infrastructure, all the naval infrastructure. They went for them. They took them out as much as possible. Immediately after doing that, what did they do? They went for the fuel dumps. Because without the fueling, there is no aircraft that can move. Without the fueling, no fighter jets, no refueling jets, no ships, no aircraft carriers. They went for the fuel. In fact, they are still going for the fuel dumps as we speak. They took out all the fuel dumps. So when you cannot fuel your jets to fight us, how will your friends take off to fight us? After they had done that, after having taken out the infrastructure in terms of the access denial, it was only then and after then that they started going after the real soldiers, that they started going after the actual fighter jets, that they started going after the actual refueling planes, that they started going after the AWACS planes. You remember they just blew up an AWACS plane. You saw the picture, very highly celebrated in the media. They ensured anti-access and aerial denial first. Obliterate the ecosystem of your adversary. Obliterate the supply chain, the supply chain, the supply chain logistics of your adversary. And when it is time for your adversary to fight, and they try to pick, one important weapon, pick one important, logistics element to couple together to fight you, they simply cannot find them there. Especially when the first thing you did was pluck out the military eyes of your adversary. In fact, if you ask me, the Iranians have done by far better in A2/AD when it comes to fighting America and Israel, starting February 28th, than the Russians have ever been able to achieve in the 4 years they've prosecuted against exactly the same set of adversaries in Ukraine. Because as we speak, Poland continues to be a major command and control center, a major supply chain logistics center, for Ukraine and NATO and America and the allies to continue to fight Russia on Ukrainian territory. I don't know. Maybe it's political considerations, maybe it's diplomatic considerations, maybe it's some issues we don't know. But Poland continues to fund, fuel, and flare up the fight against them, Russia in Ukraine. However, in the Middle East, in the Gulf countries, Iran has successfully ensured that every country that hosts American installations around them has essentially been put into a state of near permanent hulabaloo. So hulabalucious, if you permit me to use that English, that American, soldiers, American fighter jet pilots, American logistics supporters are now, according to the New York Times, working from home. Have you ever seen a soldier work from home? Which home? How exactly can a soldier prosecute war from home? Why are they working from home? Because they have been denied the use of all their bases. If they stay in those bases, Iran continues to missile and drone them inside. They left those bases, they went to hotels in those Gulf countries. Iran came after them with those same drones and the missiles in those hotels after warning the civilians to stay clear, after warning the governments to stop, housing them there. They left the hotels, they went to their diplomatic compounds. Iran came again with the drones and missiles and the missiles, chased away from there. They left from there, they went to port infrastructure, hid themselves there. Iran came after them. How can a soldier who is in disarray, how can military planners who are in disarray even get themselves together to be able to prosecute any sensible war? That is the real implication of A2/AD, that Iran has demonstrated fantastic sagacity in, actually executing with respect to this war. A major reason why Iran has done fantastically well so far against its by far more powerful adversaries. I hope you learned from this. Let me hear your questions. Let me hear your comments. And let us see, let us have a discussion in the comment thread as to how exactly you think Iran has done well in the area of A2/AD, especially compared to other wars or other recent military exploits or other countries in the past. Again, don't forget to like, to share, to comment, and to subscribe. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.